That's a very common thing. So the treatment we talked about tonight increases immune function. So I tend to go a little gently with MS, but we find that overall people do, their MS symptoms, their fatigue, their overall well-being improves with this protocol as well. And certainly there's other things like vitamin D deficiency, which is a critical contributor to multiple sclerosis. That's why you'll find in northern latitudes where there's not as much sunshine, vitamin D is much more common. And this goes all around the planet that we see. Well, most of our vitamin D comes from sunshine. And we have the misguided advice these days telling people to avoid sunshine, which is frankly insane. It's causing an epidemic of vitamin D deficiency. And what are the effects of low vitamin D? Not just osteoporosis, but multiple sclerosis, more cancers. It's estimated that the advice to avoid sunshine is contributing to over 85,000 excess cancer deaths a year. So I remember when I was a kid, they used to have these museums you'd go in and you see like skulls with holes cut in, and they say, and the old Aztecs used to cut holes to let the evil spirits escape, silly Aztecs, ha ha ha, you know, that kind of stuff. And I picture about 100 years from now, we'll have the Medical Hall of Shame, where we'll walk in and they'll start with an exhibit showing doctors working for the AMA saying cigarettes are good for you. Yes. Then the next booth will be, and here's where they're sitting there and telling women don't breastfeed, use formula. And then they'll show an exhibit of the doctor saying avoid sunshine, it's bad for you. And I can picture this little child tugging at its mommy's dress saying, Mommy, were they crazy back then? And she'll go, yes, dear. Here's the balance. Avoid sunburn, not sunshine. It's that simple. It's basic common sense. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
I've been following your work since 2002. I had my initial breakdown in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
In the last 4 years, I've suffered a brain tumor
Mm-hmm.
and malignant breast cancer, which
Mm-hmm.
I believe is a direct result of medication that I was on for 20 years that caused adrenal insufficiency. What are your thoughts on
Well,
cancer and adrenal?
I think it probably was not. I think that we see a lot of adrenal exhaustion in this disease. We have not seen an increase in brain tumors and breast cancers associated with that. What we will see is that there's an increase in breast cancers, I think, associated with iodine deficiency. Excuse me, just down here. So, and then with a brain tumor, you know, I think your immune system has just been down in general, and you got the two cancers, but I don't think they're related. We don't see an increase in those in people with CFS and fibro. So what I would do is for the breast cancer, I would take iodine, 12.5 milligrams a day. Yep, have that right here. It's called triiodine. And you can get it at most health food stores. They probably have it. 6.25 to 12.5 milligrams a day, not more than that. One of the things that our foundation was going to study was iodine deficiency and breast cancer. We're going to do a study looking at the levels of iodine in breast tissue. But when we did a literature search on it, we found that had already been done. And iodine levels are low in the breast tissue of women with breast cancer. Iodine function is critical for breast cancer. So you may want to get a book called Iodine by Dr. David Brownstein, Brownst, I think EIN. It's not going to be on Amazon, it'll be on his website. So if you do a search on David Brownstein, and he goes into length about the role and importance of the iodine in breast cancer, both prevention and treatment. The other thing, vitamin D, so you want to get 1-2000, that's in the vitamin powder already. Coenzyme Q10, these are case reports of women with advanced breast cancer, and they actually found that the cancers shrink. Now, they're not double-blind studies, but when you see these things shrink with the coenzyme Q10, it's suggestive and certainly benign. So just based on having seen over 3,000 people personally with the disease and over 15,000 at the centers, we don't see that correlation. So I think that they were unrelated events. But these things, I think, can help in general. Good. Excellent. And I would add the iodine to it. Get that book. I think you're going to love it.
Does that help other cancers or only breast cancer?
Just breast cancer. The CoQ10 can help in general. For other cancers, boswellia, not boswellia, I'm sorry, curcumin, which is the Indian spice that you have in Indian food, turmeric, is very helpful for cancers. The problem was that you could not absorb enough of it, so it only helped colon cancer because it stayed in the gut, went all the way down, and it suppressed colon cancer. But now they have new forms that increase the absorption about 693%, I mean dramatically, because they add the natural oils back in. So now you can get with 1 or 2 a day, and there's a product called Curamed, which is the one I recommend. It's pure curcumin, just 2 a day. And if I had cancer, I would be taking that as part of whatever other regimen. It's tablets. Maybe, I'm not sure if it's capsule, but it's not a liquid. And I think that, again, it needs more research, but it's very safe, and the research that's been done is very promising with that. I'm sorry? It's basically a special form of turmeric or curcumin. It's called Curamed, C-U-R-A, capital M-E-D. Technically it's a BCM 95, blah, blah, blah. It's a special form. It's made by Europharma. And I don't know if they have it at Mother Earth, but we can ask them. And if they don't, they can't. It's a good one. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. 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 You're saying since you stopped caffeine? Yeah. Okay. So he's been having more fatigue since he stopped coffee. That's like saying since I've stopped going to the loan shark, I feel like I have a little less money. Caffeine, it's okay to have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea each day. I have my cup of iced tea sitting over there. No sugar in it. I won't do that. So, but what you find is that, so if you have the 1 a day or 2, that's okay. It may jumpstart you in the morning, and that's good. But when you're going much above that, it becomes an energy loan shark. I'll get to you next, ma'am. And keeping your arm raised with fibro is not good, so you're next on the list. So once you're getting more than that, you're using it as an energy loan shark, and it's taking away more energy than it's giving. Same thing with sugar. So I call these like Red Bull anyway, energy loan shark drinks. On the other hand, you can get real energy. We'll talk about that tonight. A simple vitamin powder. And again, let me give you, those of you who know my policy, I don't take money from any supplement companies or any pharmaceutical companies. It's just a matter of credibility. I can't be here saying, oh, this is wonderful. Otherwise, I feel stupid and embarrassing. So the things I'm recommending, you go to the health food store, you get it. I don't make a penny on. And they don't pay me to be here. Which raises the question of what's he doing here? We'll talk about that in a bit. We just finished a study with ribose, a special nutrient, increased energy an average of 61% after 3 weeks. So you're going to get the information tonight to give you healthy energy so you don't have to keep going to the loan sharks. Good. Ma'am? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, there's a lot of different things, wannabes in the curcumin market, and HSI overall is a very good group. I like them, but I would if I was using a curcumin product, the only one I would use is the BCM 95 form, and that one's only available through Europharma. What you have is, I remember when I was in my American history class, my high school teacher gave me a book called Lying with Statistics, and it just showed, and because on my way to being a doctor, that was very helpful because the drug companies seem to do that quite a bit, in my impression. But you'll find that with the turmeric or curcumin, they'll say turmeric and it has this much, but they don't say, well, the amount of curcumin is only a small percent of that. And then they say absorption with pepper and the rest. No, at the end of the day, you're not getting enough. And if I'm going to use a curcumin product, it's only going to be one that's a BCM 95 one, which means a Europharma one. Now, I'm going to talk about stuff from many, many different companies tonight. So basically, there's some things I'm going to say it doesn't matter what company, as long as it's a reputable one. Otherwise, I'm going to say just this one because otherwise I don't think it works. But that's why I don't take money from the companies. It allows me to stay objective. So that's good. Thank you. Good. Floor is open for questions.
Vitamin C injections for cancer.
Mhm. So the question is IV intravenous vitamin C in high dose for cancer. I think it's reasonable. Linus Pauling has been working on that for a long, long time, who is a Nobel Prize laureate. There's a problem in medicine that medicine sometimes is a science, very often is a business, and sometimes is a religion. And, you know, science is a wonderful tool, but it's a god-awful religion. And what happens is that in medical school, we're taught that anything that's natural or from the complementary is all quackery, and we have to protect gullible patients from it. And that's the religion we're taught. And it was quite the shock to me when I started researching the medical literature on my own and found all these studies showing that the natural things are very effective. I had one gal who came in and said, "Hey, Dr. T, how about coenzyme Q10 for heart failure?" This is when I was first in practice. And she said, said, "You idiot. Do you think after all we've learned in medical school, if some coenzyme Q10 helped heart failure, that they wouldn't have taught us about it?" But I made the mistake of saying, "But I'll do a literature search." And I looked, and there was a stack of studies showing that it helps. And I said, something's wrong here. And I took a little notebook, it was a little spiral thing, and I figured, well, I'm going to start taking notes on these studies that I'm looking at. And very quickly, that notebook was full, got to be 1,000 pages long, 2,000 pages long, as I put the things in. And it was like, what is going on? Why didn't they teach us this stuff? And it turns out to be a very simple thing. To go through the FDA process to advertise something for use for treating a disease costs on the order of $400 to $800 million or higher to develop it and take it through. And if something is not patentable, it cannot go through the FDA process. It's that simple. Most natural things are not patentable. Vitamin C is not patentable. Would I do high-dose vitamin C if I was a cancer? Probably. It would depend on the type of cancer and on different things. But I think that it can be a very reasonable part of an integrative treatment approach.
I would think, Linus Pauling, when he won 2 Nobel Prizes, he spoke at American College like 35, 40 years ago. And he took questions, and I said, at the time of the meeting, the nutritionist said, the vitamins, the minerals don't match up. And they said, vitamin C and magnesium was one. And I asked him about that, and he said, oh, that may very well be true, we just don't know.
Yeah, and the question is, what are the interactions or the balancing of vitamins and minerals or different nutrients that are needed? So, for example, calcium. A lot of people are given calcium supplements for osteoporosis. Do they help? Very, very little. But calcium taken by itself increases heart attack death risk by 31%. That's big. Now, if you combine it with the magnesium, the vitamin D, and vitamin K, all of a sudden you have something that's heart healthy. And the issue for me is not just for osteoporosis. Anybody here with osteoporosis, loss of bone density? Now you'll see the studies are showing that the medications after 5 years may cause more harm than good. And so what do? Well, here's a simple thing. You take the mineral strontium. You can get it at most health food stores. Once the folks are in here, I'll ask them for these different things, whether they have them. But the strontium is 170% as effective as Fosamax. It's almost twice as effective. So, and it's very safe, and it doesn't cause the problems, and it's natural. And then there's a product called OsteoStrong, which is a mix of calcium, magnesium, vitamin D, vitamin K, boron, and all these other things. You take those two together, and they are wonderful for optimizing bone density. So calcium by itself, dangerous. But if you balance it with magnesium, which is this natural counterweight in the body, then it can be healthy and it can be okay. And especially if you add the vitamin D and the vitamin K, now you've got a balanced system. Well, vitamin K is important for bone density, but also very important for heart health. And that's one of the reasons why it's one of the things in the vitamin powder. This is, there's so many different nutrients, and people go, oh my God, my head's going to explode. What should they do? And what I say is the vitamin powder has most of the things people need in it. And it makes it very easy. We'll talk about that during the talk, and it's just a simple thing.
Just stop it. What if you're just diagnosed with heart problems and you're taking this curcumin away from that stuff, and you're not supposed to?
No, it's okay to take curcumin with heart problems.
Vitamin C counteracts that.
No. If you're you're talking about Coumadin. Okay. So the question is, let me broaden that question. How about drug interactions? How do I know if what I'm taking is okay with the medications I'm taking if there's all this for the natural stuff? So the very simple thing, as an MD, a physician, I'm very conscious about that. And because of that, for the medication Coumadin, which is a blood thinner, the doctor will tell you you can't add anything in without checking the bleeding times. Now, in my practice, there's nothing I would have problems adding in, but I would check the bleeding times because we have to adjust the dose of Coumadin once you find what it is you need. So that's the key. The other drug interaction is for the nutrient 5-HTP. We'll talk about that under sleep, where if you're taking antidepressants or things that raise serotonin, those two can interact. Otherwise, what I'm talking about tonight, overall very, very safe with the medications people are taking. Now, they may have mild interactions in terms of might affect the dose slightly, but not enough really, in my humble opinion, to be worrisome or to be an issue in the thousands of patients I've treated. So the Coumadin, we will use it. Now, you mentioned also about heart disease, so let me say that. We find for heart failure, there are, it really bothers me. We give medications, there's things that can help. Those can be very good. But the natural remedies for heart failure are very effective, and doctors don't hear about it. So for somebody, if you have heart failure, angina, abnormal heart rhythms, there's a book that I think actually they're going to be giving out if you buy any product. It's my newest book, Real Cause, Real Cure, which is an owner's manual for your body. It's a natural owner's manual. It goes through each of these things, including MS, Alzheimer's, heart disease, and it says what to do naturally. So for heart disease, a simple recipe. B vitamins and magnesium, that's in the vitamin powder. Coenzyme Q10, acetylcarnitine, and ribose. People will find that their heart function dramatically increases within 6 weeks. It's not subtle. I live in Hawaii, came here, and this gentleman can attest to how wonderful Hawaii is. He used to live there as well. And let me step it back a bit. There's a gentleman who had been given a death sentence by his doctor. The doctor said, you have horrible heart failure, you're going to be dead in 3 months. So his wife, they live in Alaska, the wife said, you're not freezing to death. In Alaska, you're going to go to Hawaii, you can die there. And I was talking with him, met him there, and I said,